Welcome to Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. Occam's razor is defined as the principle that gives priority to simplicity. In the Britannica Dictionary, it's defined like this: of two competing theories, the simpler explanation of an entity is to be preferred. In my mind, it says, the simpler of two things is usually the best. I thought about that a lot this past week of tragedy. I kept thinking about the two competing theories, if you will, of love and hate. So when you think about love and hate in contrast to Occam's razor, I would have to say that love is the simpler entity of the two. I'll try to explain. As I see it, in some ways, love and hate are similar to right and wrong. There is an essence of innateness about love, about right and wrong. With love, with right and wrong, you know it, you feel it, and you can even see it. I guess that describes hate too. Any teacher or principal can tell you what it is like to have an elementary child who has done something wrong, for example, hit kids on the playground or cheated on a test, and have that child affirm or deny the wrong. When a child has done wrong, their whole demeanor, body language, facial expression, tone, and tenor of their voice shows you that they know what they did was wrong. Parents know the same look, sound of voice, and expression in a child's body language. Often excuses or blame go before the admission is uttered. You don't have to excuse love, though. You don't have to blame love for anything. Just as in doing what is right, you don't have to remember. When one does something wrong, the memory is very important. One has to remember what was said to cover up the wrong, and as the molehill of deceit grows, more has to be remembered. I once asked my good friend Sheriff Greg Beaver how he is able to catch a criminal. He said, "Well, they always make a mistake." Hmm. Hating and doing wrong takes so much energy, concentration, because you have to build on it. You have to feed it with more anger, more hate, more lies to cover up what the excuses are or the justifications. It eats on the inside of a person. Love is so much simpler. The thing about love is that it fuels itself. Hate has to be fueled with anger and more anger, with grudges and resentment. With love, you just have to love. You don't have to prove anything, cover up anything. Love feeds itself within a person, and when that happens, it automatically seeps out into the world, planting seeds of softness, care, understanding, and joy. It is January, and in North America, it is winter. But we are also living in another kind of winter, the coldness of the political climate that has brought layers of worry, fear, and distrust. Those are not simple emotions. They have to be tended so that they do not consume us with anxiety or depression. Parker Palmer, an author, educator, and activist, and the founder of the Center of Courage and Renewal, wrote this week: my work is to find my own deep roots in the ground of my own life, roots that can survive the winter, keep body and soul alive, then emerge and thrive as new life when spring comes. When the only reality I can see is the hard, frozen world around and within me, something essential dies. Staying alive means staying in touch with the invisible world, a world of healing, empowerment, and hope. It's the world that allowed the philosopher Albert Camus to say, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." Mm. That is what we do during times like these. We look for something we can hold on to. That something often comes in the way of a discovery, like it did for Camus. That in the midst of these times we can find within us an invincible summer. That's what he said. For me, that is called invincible love. This past year, I have focused on the power of love as my beacon during this time that is so dark with unrest and danger. No matter what happens, love cannot be taken from us without our permission. We are born with it. It is nurtured first through eye contact with our parents at birth and grows throughout our lives in the relationships we make. It is simple. but it can be ever so strong, and it permeates our being with goodness. It's been a while since I wrote you about Mrs. Lane, my husband Donnie's high school English teacher. When she was returning graded essays to her class, she would pause and read portions of papers that she felt had been done particularly well. Then she would stop, take off her glasses, and say to the class, "Do you see it? Do you see it? It's really simple when you think about it." Love is really simple when you think about it. My friend Sherry Lovery started Crisis Management Institute and 5 Radical Minutes. Sherry worked with the Amish community in Pennsylvania after the mass shooting in the schools in 2006. She was so deeply moved by the power of forgiveness that she witnessed in that community that had been so scarred with traumatic and tragic loss. She witnessed how they lived with invincible love instead of being consumed by unforgiving hatred. In this dark season of our country, let love keep us, to guard our hearts, to keep us believing in the goodness of humanity, of peace, and of hope. So this week, on your bathroom mirror, write, "I will reflect love." Join me next Monday for Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.